Hey everyone, welcome to Just Vibes with the Click podcast with your boy Peace J. And today we have another guest, but he's not new. He's not a newbie. He's someone who's been on the podcast before. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, shout out everybody. My name is Kevin. I'm the guy responsible for the earthquake. And if you missed it, listen to this podcast until the end and you will hear a little bit of shaking and vibrations. Yeah,
Heck.
what do you do?
Heck. Oh, yeah, man. So just to open... wait. Yeah. Just to open up, if you could pick an artist who's no longer with us, just so that you can watch them live, which artist would you choose?
Yo, that's a tricky one, eh? That's a tricky one. But if we have to say locally, I would say probably AKA. I know a lot of people are like, that's cliche, but I've actually never seen AKA perform live. So I think it will be one of the guys I also want to see live. And if we're talking overseas, Tupac, eh? Tupac.
Okay, I feel you, man. The mandem is cultured. You like it?
Yeah. Hip hop all the way.
Oh, wait. So, okay, guys. So today's topic is about single parenting. Oh, and if you connect the dots, that's why we have Kevin here today. So, Kevin, I don't want you to give out too much information, but how long have you been a father for?
I've been a father for, I can say, 2 years, 3 months now.
Okay. Oh, that is.
Do I have? Does it count? Does it also count when the my son was in the womb?
No.
Okay.
No, sir.
Okay.
But
okay.
Tell us your story, bro. How did you become a single parent? How?
I'm gonna use the word you like using all the time, and that's, man, it's hectic. Hectic. So honestly, I never ever thought that I'd be at a point where I'll be a single father, right?
Yeah.
How I became a single father, I'll really cut the story short. So I met my baby mama, let's say 2019, and everything was like good and vibey, we connected fine and we got to know each other, over the course of the time that we've known each other. I think things escalated pretty quickly. I think a year and a half after that, I think a year after that, she got pregnant. So that's canceling 2019. So 2020, I think she got pregnant towards the end of it. Okay, fine. She got pregnant, got through the whole process of being pregnant, and she gave birth to my son. And around that time, I was like still hustling. You know how it is. We were struggling here and there, trying to find something stable. And in every couple group, there's always going to be things relating to finance that will eventually make you fight.
Yeah.
So we got to that point where now we have a son and we have each other. So things are not really looking good financially. And I started looking for better opportunities, and an opportunity came for me to leave the country where I could start leaving and coming back. And I really feel like my baby mama wasn't really happy with the idea of me leaving. She probably thought that me leaving was like me leaving her as well.
Yeah.
Or me abandoning her and my son, Whereas it wasn't even that. It was more of like, I'm really trying to go out there and hustle and look for better opportunities, right? So in this story, just before I continue, I don't want to also paint her as like she's the bad person and I'm the good guy. No, we all had our faults like in every situation, like in every relationship, everybody has their goods and their bad, right? But what eventually happened was, I traveled, right? So her and her friend, I think her friend, okay, I could say we all know this apps, Tinder, whatnot. Yeah. We all know. So she joined Tinder, right, when I left, or let's say before I left, she joined Tinder. Her friend sort of convinced her into, oh no, he's cheating on you. Before I left, actually, or they convinced her into like also joining that whole Tinder vibe, and she joined the whole Tinder vibe. And when I left, that's when things turned really sour, right? I left, and when I was away, you know your girl, you know how you guys communicate. So the communication was no longer what it was. It would be, should be always busy. When I'm trying to talk to her, she'll be on the phone for like 5 minutes and then she'll disappear. Like, oh, I gotta do something, or I gotta wash. So the excuses were piling up while I was away. So I felt neglected. At some point, I also stopped forcing communication while I was away, which was wrong because now you need to talk to your son. My son was already 1 at the time. So now it was a problem. Communication was an issue, and fine, I get back. Once I get back, there was a time that we were actually supposed to take the child to the hospital. So she came to my place, and while just before leaving, she was supposed to change the diapers or whatever. So she went and changed the diapers, but she left her phone. So I took the phone and I opened the phone and I went through it. And yeah, every man's worst enemy is seeing your hand telling another nigga, I love you. Yo! Chef. There, I lost it. I was like, damn, this hand is actually cheating. And the funny part about it was just not one guy, but it was one specific guy that she sent that message to. But you could just see the pattern of all the other guys that she was also talking to. So to cut the story short, that's how I became a single father. Because right after that, I mean, kids, if you guys love yourself, don't stay in such a situation. Once a hand cheats on you, it's chat. Pop culture is gonna tell you, oh no, you guys can work through it. Hey, I feel like if a man cheats, a man can cheat without being emotional about it, but women cheat with emotions, and which is deeper. So I'll just tell all the kings out there, just before we go on with this podcast, that if you were in my situation, I walk away, Shem. My opinion, just love yourself more, walk away, but don't leave your son or your daughter to your take care of your responsibilities. All right, yeah, that's how I became a single father.
Okay, that is hectic. Wow. So like, are you still like, how often do you see your son?
Okay. The beauty of that is I have finally managed to get like stable seeing time. Luckily, there was no costs involved with this maintenance nonsense that happens. But I have a month. We share a month, so I have him for a month, and she has her for a month. And because his mom is sort of not so available in his life, I can sometimes have him for a month and a half, sometimes 2 months, if it's that deep on that side.
Okay. Oh, that's dope. Okay, so you're not like an absent father, like you are like pretty much present.
I'm very present here. Like for me, honestly, I think growing up I think every man or every guy has and I wouldn't say every guy, but if you grew up in depending on your childhood, I grew up in a kind of rocky childhood where my dad wasn't available, right? But he wasn't available because of work purposes, right? So I always had it in mind that once I become a father, no matter where life will take me, I told myself I'll make sure that I'll be present as possible. Right?
Yeah.
So when I'm back home, my son is always with me. when I'm away from home, I try and make sure video calls, phone calls, just to always keep in touch. So I'm as present can be. I'm more present than the earthquake.
I feel you, man. I feel you.
Yeah.
No, that's good, my G. That's good. That really is good, you know, because, you know, like a lot of these niggas tend to say, you know, when I become a father, I'm going to be, you know, like, I'm going to be the total opposite of what my father is, you know, because, like, what you just said reminds me of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the one episode where Will Smith's dad leaves him for the second time, and Will Smith goes on a whole rant and be like, yo, I'm gonna be a better father than he ever was, you know? Yeah, well, it's a good thing he said that in the series, because in real life, not. But yeah, that's a story for the day. So, how was it, like, you know, telling your parents, like, yo, you're gonna be grandparents? Yeah.
You know, every time everybody asks me that question, it's always funny because I was not even the person who told them. So yeah, it was a difficult thing. I mean, first of all, guys like us, we have a strong pull-out game. We don't expect. It's like when a hand tells you, like, I'm pregnant, it's like, whoa, no, it can't be me. It's not mine, you know. But in this point, like in this case, I knew that she was the only person that I was intimate with, and I definitely knew that she was the only person. I was also the only person she was intimate with. So yeah, there were times where we risked it all. Hey, like, I would not advise anyone to do it. Don't do risk. Robbers, guys. But the day she told me she's pregnant, it was the day I couldn't believe it, first of all. And I kept that to myself for like a whole month. I'm like, let's say a whole 3 months. And then after 3 months, you know, it got to a point where my baby mama's mother was like, nah, we have to send a message to my parents, right? And I was telling my baby mama, yo, calm down, bro, calm down, chill, bro, it's not the time, and whatever, tell your mom to, you know, pipe down. And she did sort of convince her mom to cool down, or her family to cool down. And I started telling my sisters, right? Told my sisters first. They snitched, obviously. They told my mom, first of all. So for me at home, at our house, my mom is not actually the problem. So you can tell my mom, right? You can tell my mom, she's cool, she'll understand. The person that we like, you can't just tell, is my dad. So what happens was, I told my sisters, and one of my sisters snitched, right? And it's funny because now my mom would call me and give me advice, like, you know, my son, you know, when you're out there with these hoes, you must put on the rubber and stuff. I'm like, come on, where's this coming from, you know? So I suspected that somebody told her that, okay, I got somebody pregnant. Because every time she would call me up, she'd be giving me advice, like, you know, don't sleep around, always use a rubber. I'm like, hey, bro, this sounds very familiar. And she now mentioned one time when she was telling me, you know, a baby is a big responsibility, you know, if you get someone pregnant. And you can just see that, no, this woman knows. She knows what's going on. But I missed it. So eventually, it got to a point where I was forced to tell my uncle, because my uncle played a huge father figure role in my life. So yeah, after I realized my mom sort of knows, I was just forced to call my uncle up. So I called my uncle up and I told him, yo, man, this is the situation. Yeah, he took it like a man. He was like to me straight up, so your bullets work. I was like, what you mean? Of course they work. Anyway, from there, he asked me, like, have you told your dad? I'm like, nah, you know I'm not gonna tell him now. He's like, why? I'm like, bro, you know he's gonna come with the dramas, like, but he still has to know. And guess what? Just the same way my sister snitched, my uncle snitched with the worst person, with the person that you were like, I'm not gonna tell. He told my dad. Now, here's where it gets interesting. So, fine. My dad calls me up. He comes back from his trip. He calls me up, and you know, my dad is a real traditional man, old school type of guys. You know,
So it's a
if
thing
like I
of
was a little, yeah, if I was a little younger, I would have gotten a nice beating here. Like, which one is this one? But what actually happened now was he called me up, because I'm old now. He called me up and he's like, so you've been sticking your, you know, you've been sticking it in places it shouldn't be. Then I kept quiet. I couldn't respond to that. You know, time. Then he told me, so you got somebody pregnant. I still didn't respond. Then he's like to me, oh, so now you want to act mute. You got somebody pregnant and you're mute. When you're busy making the baby, you are not mute. Here you're mute. so, you know, in that moment, you know, they're telling you this, bro. How do you respond? So, like, I was mute, bro. Like, so he shouted. Then he started now giving me the man talk, and he was like, "Are you ready for this responsibility?" Right? And he's like, remember, because when we're growing up, you know, when you make mistakes and your parents tell you, you will see when you're gonna be a father, you will see when you're gonna be a mother, you know. Yeah, he's like to me, remember all those time I told you that you will see when you be a father. It's like, yeah, Zogal, it's coming. You will see it. Then I was like, yeah. So honestly, the news of how everybody else in the family got to find out was like, so it was even more funny. Everybody was just snitching. This one will snitch there, that one will snitch here. So I'm like, okay, everybody eventually found out. So a lot of people in the family found out with the knowledge of, do not tell anyone that you found out. You get it? So people be calling you up and giving you weird advice, like, you know, man, sometimes it's good to stay single. I'm like, whoa, slow down, bro. What do you mean? You all know I got a baby I got not a baby mama, but you all know I'm in a committed relationship with so and so. So people giving you weird advice coming from left and right, aunties calling me, you know, that's how everybody eventually found out. And it was actually the hardest because I was still staying with the folks, because remember, it's just after COVID.
Yeah. Lockdown.
Right. Yeah. So it was a problem. It was a serious problem, because like being in the house, like you like even when you're leaving your room, going to the kitchen, there's your dad walking, and he's just standing there, he's giving you the look. Like, yeah, you pop at somebody. You really did it. You know, so you know, like the whole time you're walking in the house with that walk of shame, bro. You know? So I wouldn't lie, I was isolating myself a lot. To a point where my dad actually noticed, like he actually felt sorry for me. And they were literally, the whole family was watching TV in the lounge, and I was the only one in my room. Cause like I know every time I'm there, those guys giving me the look, like, you actually did it. You did it. You know? So well, at some point he would come, he would take me out of my rooms, like, no, come in the lounge, you know. But you're there, you're still in the lounge, but you tense as hell. Because you know, like I'm guilty. So like it actually rings a bell now. Like, I actually did it. You know, I didn't feel it as much, but the way they were constantly bashing me, I started feeling it. Like, yeah, nah, I'm a father. I was a father before my son came. So in the house, you know, because like, imagine my dad would make weird comments like, I'll give you a bad example. I'd buy a drink, right? And be like, did you also buy one for your son? So it was crazy. And this is before my son was even born, you know. So he literally rubbed it in my face as every chance he got, you know. Wow. And yeah. That's pretty much what how everybody got to find out that I became a father.
Hey, dude. Honestly, it's the constant reminding. It's the constant reminder that, you know, that you have a kid, that everyone makes you feel like some type of way, you know. It was oh, dude, that's crazy. That is madness. So, Bob, so moving forward, Sharp, you have the kid. Parents are happy to be grandparents vibes. Now, how is it when it comes to like, you know, to seeing your son, right? Is it like tense? Is it awkward? Like, okay, no, not seeing your son, but like seeing your baby mama. Like, is it tense? Is it awkward? Like, how is it? Because like, I'm just judging from like the whole movie thing, you know, where the one partner is waiting outside, you know, and it's just awkward silence, or if they come inside the house. So like, how is it with you? Because now, you know, like you're constantly seeing your ex, you know, like even if you want to move on with life, she's there.
So here's a quick story of how I eventually got to see my son for the first time, right? So I'll try and keep it short, guys. So on the day my okay, guys, I'm gonna say this, but don't judge me. So the previous day before she went into labor, right? So me and her were kind of like in a little situation, having our business as usual, right? And mid halfway, she was like, boy, you need to stop now. You need to calm down. Cause I was like, hey, bro, this girl can give birth anytime. So once she gives birth, I am not gonna get some for a very long time. So I had that in mind already. So that day, like the day previous before she gave birth, it was heavy. So mid having that, she stops like, no, I'm feeling some type of pain or whatever. So we stopped. Okay, fine. That day was over. The following day, she went into labor. Like it was a joke, you know? And I got a phone call actually from her mom saying, because I was actually the one who was supposed to pick up, and I think I was somewhere in Kensington, actually at a party, no cap. So I get a call from her mom saying that she's in labor. You need to come now and pick her up to go and drop off at the hospital. So from where I was to where she was quite a long distance. So what eventually happened was, I think they found an ambulance or somebody who was there. They had a car that dropped them off to the nearest hospital. So she went to the hospital and I followed quickly, right? And it was pretty late. It was pretty late, by the way. It was not like in the day. Let's say around 6-7 o'clock that time. Yeah. So she goes to the around, let's say 5, because I remember there was like some light outside. So I followed swiftly to the hospital. And I think before getting there, her mom actually called me, because when she went without her mom. So her mom was like, no, you must come pick up some of her stuff. You know, so I went and picked up some of her stuff and I dropped it off at the hospital. And I also went and picked up some of my son's clothes, like the diaper, clothing, I think a few stuff. And I put it in a bag and I followed her to the hospital. So she was in there. So remember, it's COVID time. Around that COVID time, there was a lot of lockdown. So there wasn't letting husbands go inside. So if your wife or your girlfriend is pregnant, she would go straight inside and you would wait outside. So you can imagine, I was outside parked with a lot of gents, husbands, girlfriends, niggas with side chicks. They were all there, and we were all having like a good time talking, you know. And there was a lot of interesting stories, and I wish there's a podcast where we can talk about what happens outside the labor ward, But what happened was, I got there, I waited, and she was inside there for like a few hours. Right, so midnight going towards 1 a.m. Yeah. Right. My baby mama gives birth. So she gave birth quickly. She probably had one of the best births ever. She didn't struggle. There was none of that, right? But I wasn't involved. I never saw how this whole thing went down. But according to her, she felt her water broke from there, and she went immediately into the labor ward, and all they said was push, and she pushed, and here's my son coming out. Right. She gives birth to my son. And obviously I was so anticipated to see him, right? But like at the hospital, they won't let the child go until he pees for the first time and he poops for the first time, right?
Yeah.
So what happens was she gives birth. She's obviously tired. She's exhausted. And then he pees at least for the first time, right? And then he got breastfed. And now the only ticket to her freedom was if he poops for the first time, right? And that's where the stress was, because like it didn't take until the following day later on 6 o'clock where he pooped for the first time. And we were so stressed, like waiting, like, wow, is he, like, I was even stressed out, like, hey, is this guy gonna poop? Does he have the ndunu like us? Like, we poop fast, like, is he gonna do it? You know? And eventually, the following day, around 4, 5, 6 o'clock, around that time, we get a phone call that she's discharged because he pooped for the first time. Baby mama did not want to stay at the hospital for Jack, so she decided, I'm gonna leave. Okay, fine, she left. I went and picked her up, right? So I picked up actually at night. So on the night that I picked her up, hey, like she just came out of like giving birth, hey. You can just tell this person was not herself, right? We had a young Trevor Noah. He became a young Trevor Noah, like instantly making jokes, saying things that didn't make sense, right? And before I saw my son, she was hungry, so I had to go and buy her food. So I brought her food, right? And she came out. So I was like, hey, how's my son? She's like, no, your son's fine. Then I'm like, okay, so how does he look? Like complexion? Since it was dark, she was like, he looks midnight black.
What?
I was like, what? I'm like, whoa, slow down. So that got me even worried. Like, how is my son looking midnight black? Like, you know? So anyway, she goes back inside. A few hours later, she got discharged, picked her up, and dropped her off at home, right? So when my son came for the first time, I didn't even hold him. Guys, yeah, I did not hold him.
Why?
Because I picked her up with her mom and my sister.
Okay.
My youngest sister, the one that follows me. So I picked her up, and when they came with the child, right? Her mom immediately took the child from her hand, and they went in the car. But I couldn't hold my son because, bruv, he was as tiny can be. I got rough hands. I was just like, I was afraid. I was like, I don't want to break him. So I was like, okay. And
I really don't know why, as guys, we're afraid. Even myself, I am afraid of holding like newborn babies. Like they're so delicate.
Dude, like, I mean, I can't. I couldn't. And you guys can judge me if you want, but I honestly didn't hold my son for like up until he was like 3 months. Like that's when I started holding him. But this whole time it was my mom, my sister, baby mama. The only thing I would do is touch his cheeks, like, hello little guy, touch his hands, but hold him, shame, I would never. Oh. So going back to that story, I dropped her off at home, and I think after that according to her culture, I think I never got to see my son for 2 weeks. And but I had to constantly, keep providing, buying diapers, doing whatever. But then I think after those 2 weeks, it was fine. She started coming to the house, where she would come and we'll spend time with also our newborn, because obviously grandmother also wanted to see, and the entire family wants to see. And it's also cultural, because like when they gave birth, when the parents say they want to see, they want to make sure that this is ours. So my mom was like, we want to see. So it took a bit of time, but eventually, my mom also got like time to hold her grandchild in her hand.
Mm.
And that's where I also came. I'm like, is this guy mine? I looked at him, bro. Like in our family, bro, we have heads, you know. So we looked at the cop. They were like, this guy is ours. Like, no, you can say whatever you want, but this little guy, he's from our side. So that's how I eventually got to see my son.
Oh man, that is a crazy story, especially since it was during lockdown,
Yeah.
and times during that time it was like really, really tough.
I'm telling you, guys. I'll also advise you guys not to have fun during pandemics, man. It's not safe. You'll be like me.
Oh man, that is crazy, dude. That is crazy. So, how is it now with the two families?
Yo, can I be the first guy? Not the first guy, but can I be one of the first gents to tell every gent that baby mama drama is real? Now I'm saying, like, when they tell you guys, choose your baby mamas wisely, like, really be cautious. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I understand that things were happening with me and baby mama around the time, right?
Yeah.
But when things got ugly, bro, like when she cheated and I found out she cheated, hey man, I got a lot of help. I got a lot of help from her and her mama as well. But at the end of the day, now things are actually stable because we sort of worked over all that drama, and now we have, like, we don't talk, by the way. Me and my baby, we don't talk at all, but we have a mutual understanding that we are co-parent,
Yeah.
So most of the time, if I have to see my son, it's communicated via the parents. So like, I want to come pick him up. I call her mom, look, I want to come pick him up. She's like, come pick him up. I go and pick him up, and that's how it is.
Oh, wait. So you communicate through the parents, right?
Yeah, I communicate with her mom, not with her directly.
Okay, so when last did you communicate with her?
Yo, if I have to be honest, the last time I communicated with her, the last time I ever sent her a text message was, let's say, this year March.
Okay,
yeah, but like that was the only time we ever spoke since.
Before March.
Yeah, before March, we'll say back in December, early December.
It's not that deep. Okay, actually no, it is deep because you're literally co-parenting. So how are you not, Hey, dude, that's wrong.
Okay. To cut the story short, man, we co-parenting, but like I'm the one. I feel like I'm more of the mom and the dad to my son. She's never around. She's never available. When I say I call her mom, is because if she had my son with her, why would I call her mom? You get the idea?
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, cool. No, I get you. Makes sense.
Yeah. It's you know what they say. She's for the. Okay. Yeah.
Dude, that's the mother of your child, bro.
Oh, fam. Oh, like, hey, the truth is the truth, bro. Like, why must we?
Your son, your son is gonna grow up, listen to this podcast, and be like, man, this man.
Do you know what's even worse about this situation is the fact that when she was giving me all that drama and all that hell, I took screenshot, created an email, and posted it there. I created an email, posted all the pictures, all the screenshots, all the messages. I posted them there. Okay, let's say I sent it to the email, right? So that if in any case whereby they now restrict me from ever seeing my son and my son grows up and be like, why were you never there for me? I was going to have evidence as to what they did, let me say what they did as to what she did, right? Fam, I'm a very peaceful person, right? So if I can ever have a chance to explain half the stuff she did, you would understand why I said that. Because like we could have resolved this situation without it getting so deep.
I get you. Yeah. Guys, don't. I can't even say this, but like, also, yeah, be careful who you choose, man. Yes, be careful. You know, because now you're busy, not talking to the person forever, but now you actually kind of have to talk to the person because you're sharing a child. God, it's a headache. Dude.
Honestly, man.
I don't know how you do it, but the thing is, no, I wouldn't want to wish this on anyone, man.
No, honestly, if I must be honest with you, hey, bro, I got more peace now, eh? Like, not talking to her is like, I'm fine. Compared to talking to her, like, hey, bro, I'm fine.
Okay, wait. Before we end things off, how is it, like, dating? Do you tell them that you have a kid at the beginning, or is it a thing of you tell them later, or like, how do you navigate that?
Honestly, right now where things are, I tell them straight up.
Okay.
I tell them straight up, like, whoever I find, tell them, like, once we start talking and something is building or I see potential in it, I tell them already, yeah, I have a son. Because like my son is old now and he comes with me, and even if I wanted to try and hide him, bro, like, sooner or later you will find out because he comes to the house. So I don't even feel like there's a need for me to hide him, so I just let them know straight up.
Oh, okay. At least you're not doing a whole Drake thing, so it's good.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is crazy, man. That is a crazy story. Sheesh. But Kev, man, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your story, man. That's, it's always an eye opener, when people come on and speak about their past experiences, So either we can learn or we can just, know how to do things, how to avoid things. So yeah, man, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast, man. I do appreciate it.
Oh man, I just want to also say I appreciate also being on this podcast, and you've been one of the guys. By the way, guys, Peace has been one of the guys that listens, that is always there to hear what you have to say. So this podcast has been so necessary, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you for this opportunity. Shout out, bro.
Oh yeah, man, no stress. So guys, it's been Just Vibes with the Click podcast with your boy Peace J, and thank you so much for listening. Remember to watch it either on Spotify or YouTube. Cheers.